It has been too long, but we are finally back with a Ranger update. It's probably been 2 months since I did the pros and cons video, and I haven't done anything except use the car since then. I want to take you guys along the ride, and I didn't want to miss filming any of that. So I'm bringing you the best free mod you can do to your next gen Ranger. As you can see here, the sailplane is gone, and I'm going to show you exactly how you do that, and it cost me absolutely nothing. So before we can get stuck into the fun stuff, I need to clean out the back of the ute, so come along while I clean that out. As you can see, it got quite dark before I was able to get there because I keep getting distracted. And lastly, before I go inside and enjoy my pulled pork burgers, just wanted to touch on the Draft Tools pressure washer. Absolutely amazing, cannot fault it. Turn the switch on, reel it out. I'm cleaning parts, I'm cleaning cars. Honestly, I use this 3 to 4 times a week. I would never use my pressure washer previously because it's too much hassle to set up. This thing's always ready to go. Literally one of the most convenient things I've got in the shed at the moment. If you want a small discount, use the code on the screen and go get yourself one. You won't regret it. Alright, it is the next night, but thanks to YouTube, you don't even know that without me telling you. So basically, I ended up getting sidetracked, got a lot on at the moment, and I did a bit of go-kart stuff in between trying to work out this, and this was drying, so I just left it. Didn't work out well because now that I'm back doing this tonight, it rained all over the car, so everything's wet anyway, so just have to suck it up. So firstly, I'm going to make my way into the back of the tub, and we're going to look at the different options we have for removing stuff and removing the sailplane to mount the tub rack. So let's look at what we have up here. So obviously we've got the factory Wild Track sailplane. Now, not only does removing this give it a much cleaner look and make it stand out a little bit, because obviously all the Wild Tracks have this sailplane. They look quite neat when you remove them. I've been looking and thinking, and there's a few plans of attack. Obviously, you've got these rails here that are part of this shutter. Now you can get bracing that braces them from here to here that makes these withstand 300 kilos. Now we're going pretty lightweight tent on this, and at max I'd be looking at like a 95 kilo tent. So, you know, with me and my partner, you're probably not going to go over 300 kilos, and if you are, I don't know how, but we don't weigh much, so you know, we'd probably be under the 250 kilo mark. So we're not going to have anything close to that with just the rooftop tent on it and maybe a snowboard, etc. Now, so that's option one. Alternatively, we can remove the sailplane, and we could also remove this rail on the outside and install XL or XLT, or maybe even the Sport trims along here. So basically you're replacing this fancy painted trim with just a plain black plastic trim, and then we could mount directly to the top of the tub. So that is another option, and obviously that would allow us to have a wider tub rack, and it would bring it out here compared to, you know, in between these two rails where you come up over here. We could go from out here. So they are our two options. I haven't fully decided which route I want to go, but it seems like I really should attempt to try this because I can buy the brace pretty easily. I think it's like $300 to buy the brace to reinforce this. It goes from bolts onto there. It's all pretty bolt on. You still require the J brace in the front. Well, I'll be putting the J brace, the factory J brace, in the front either way. So I feel like it's an easy option to try this mounting system first. If I'm not happy with that, it won't take me much to actually convert it to use the outside. So I think from a neatness point of view and just like a simplicity point of view, it'll be a lot easier to just go off here because I can slide in one of those, I forgot what they're called, uni strut or something like that, whatever they're called, that slide into here, and then I can bolt the tub rack to that and it will hold 300 kilos. So I'm not too worried about that. If I need it wider, then yes, definitely coming out here is an option. But the more I think about it, here is just a simple option that is easily reverted. All right, I've got my bit of cardboard. I'm going to be writing some dimensions on the back here. I do want to quickly touch on how we're going to be designing this. I know a lot of people love to say they do a bit of CAD work in the shed, and they always say they joke around and say about the cardboard-aided design. Works well, especially when you really can't get good measurements of things. You can actually get it all traced out, and then you can put that onto the steel and trace it. But let's be honest, we're in modern times. Anyone has access to CAD, so you can use free CAD services online, even in your web browser, or there's a lot of different free CAD software packages. And even if you want a high-end CAD package for a hobbyist like myself, SolidWorks I think is like $85 a year. So really not that much. So if you're going to be designing little bits and pieces, or there's various options, and quite cheap in this day and age. So what we'll be doing is I'll jot down some dimensions on this bit of cardboard. I'll roughly mock up what I'm thinking, the idea in my head. Then we'll head inside, I'll go on the computer and I will draw it up in SolidWorks. Once I've done that, I will double check my measurements, basically give myself an understanding, and I'll look at what we're doing, and then I'm going to get them laser cut. Obviously there's times where tracing things out and doing it custom is more beneficial and more accurate and just easier, especially if you're on a time crunch. But for this, I want it modeled up and I want to be able to replicate it, especially if we do change to go to the outside rails. I want to be able to just extend it out by the dimensions I need and basically make it fit the outside. So anyway, I thought I'd give you a quick rundown of what we're going to do. Now I'm going to jump up here and take some measurements. So from inside of rail to outside of rail is about 1375. Just going to hold that back here just to double check. So we're looking at 1375. So I went from the inside of this rail to the outside of that rail, and I get 1375 outside, inside to outside. And that is, because I'm going from the inside of this one to the outside of that one, that gives you your center to center measurement. So now I basically want to test next. I want to measure the clearance I have from the back window to the back of the tub. So I don't want the rooftop tent to overhang, and if I can, I would love to fit a snowboard rack at the back of the tent. Now I've got to look up the tent dimensions to just double check everything. So I'm just going to measure what my maximum, so the actual sheet metal bit that we're making isn't affected by the dimensions this way, because I'll either make 2 or 3, so it'll be the 1, 2 and 3, or it'll be 1 and 2. But that doesn't really matter how much space is here, but I need to know to work out whether I can actually fit a rooftop tent by just removing this, and if it's going to overhang at all, and I guess what rooftop tent I want to go with. So yeah. So I'm just measuring from the back of the sailplane. That's about 20 mil off the back firewall, cab, whatever you want to call it, which is basically 22, 23 mil from the back window. I'm not going to have anything that protrudes out that way, so I'm measuring the maximum distance. I'm going to say it's about 1500 is my limit, and that's going to be just before the back of the tailgate. So max length, the rooftop tent and anything that I have overhanging is going to be 1500. Again, this stuff's quite boring, but it does need to be done. If you don't do it and take your time to do it correctly, then you end up doing things multiple times, and yeah, it just makes the design process difficult. Now, of course, if you don't do all this, you can just go buy an off-the-shelf option. There is plenty of them available, but sometimes they don't do just what you want. Now I've got all my dimensions written on the bit of cardboard. I'm going to grab my phone and I'm going to look up some tent dimensions, double check all that. Then we're going to get to the stuff that you're probably waiting to see, which is removing the sailplane. Kind of come up with a plan. So I've narrowed it down to 2 tents, both actually being Outback Tourer tents. I've had Motop roof tents in the past, and essentially with this setup, I'm going for compact when it's closed and as big as possible when it's open. And they have 2 different options, one being a lightweight model and one being a standard heavier model. Both will fit in here, I think, pretty comfortably. It's just a matter of how far I want the overhang, if I want to mount other stuff on it. all that kind of thing. So I'm actually going to get the wife to come out and consult with her, because this is one thing that she does get a say in, because we'll be sleeping in it. And we have slept with us two and the 2 kids in a rooftop tent before, and it's been good, but it was a full-size motop, so it's, you know, it's not going to be the same. We're planning on having a setup, so mainly I'll use this when I go away solo, or if we do ever happen to go away just the 2 of us. But when the kids are with us, you know, we'll sleep in here, and we'll have an annex that comes off the side that will be all enclosed, and basically a separate tent that they can sleep down in and we can access. Now I'm just going to start removing the trim panels on the sailplane. So the fun stuff. All this just clips off, and I actually did notice this one is starting to come off by itself, so I haven't touched it yet. That actually is already down naturally, so I don't know if that's a common thing, but it does look like it was starting to unclip itself. Now, there's not that much information on doing this kind of stuff, so I've got my trim removal tool, I've got a couple of them, and I'm just going to go around and try to pop this panel off. Get this leaf out of here. Basically slowly work my way around and try to pop this outer panel off. I believe it just clips on in there, and you can get behind there and get access to the screws, etc. The thing I hate about modern cars is you always feel like you're going to break the plastic, and you don't want to pull on it too tight, but often the clips do break, but you often have no other way to actually get it off, and that's what they suggest in the Ford manuals, so is to basically just break it off. I don't know what she's on about. If you didn't hear that, she said, if I didn't have a really expensive hobby, this car would be done. Let's be honest, she's definitely right on that one, because I don't really know what everyone else spends their money on. Like, that thing just sucks my money every week. So make your way along the inner panel. There's a few clips the whole way down. Try not to scratch it. I'm using plastic trim removal tools, but I can still imagine it's quite easy to scratch the painted surfaces. Make your way along and down there. And hopefully the other side comes off nice and easy. It's really not that easy to get in there. Now, it is extremely cold in here to the point where it's starting to get frosty, so I've gone and grabbed myself some old gloves. And the instructions say to basically pop this side off, like we have, and then slowly get in there and put a pressure on the other side and slowly work your hand up to release the clips on both sides. I think there's a total of 12 clips the whole way across, so there we go. Finally got it. And surprisingly, the only clip I did break is just this one here. That was at the very start, but the rest actually stayed intact. It's pretty good, so look after that, because you may want to use it, you may not want to use it, you may change your mind. So there, slowly work our way down. Pop these slowly off. Now, go across to this side, and it seems as though the back side, aside from the very top one, they all kind of pull outwards a lot easier. So let's try do what we did on the other side, like that. There you go, much easier once you know what you're doing, and I didn't break any clips that time. So as you've seen, I removed the 5 bolts, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 after we took that trim off, and this sailplane is actually ready to come off. So this part of the sailplane will come off very easily, but I would say we're going to be left with these ugly brackets, so we need to look at that once we get the sailplane off. I've got you back down there. I've done 5 bolts either side, and I believe this will just come straight off. I haven't tried yet. I literally did the 5 bolts, set up the camera, but just like that, we have the sailplane off. So that part is relatively easy. It is just remove the two inner covers and then do the 10 bolts. But obviously you are left with these ugly little brackets. So now I'm going to look at how we can remove them. But yeah, it definitely gives the ute a completely different look. So this is what we're left with. As you can see, bolts into there, and you have this really big, solid, ugly bracket sticking out the top. I've seen people mount like a cover plate across here. Just trying to look at how that would actually work. So that's how you get the sailplane off. But I think if you're going to do that, you probably want to take the rest of this off, so you get rid of that big ugly mess and go to the XL trims, which will just screw down or clip into here and give you a nice neat finish along the top. Okay, after some reading and some research, I don't think you can undo this without at least disassembling some of the roller shutter, but also have a 13mm on here, and then essentially from this 13mm the rest is all clipped on, so you're supposed to be able to take this 13mm off and then give this a sharp pull up, and that removes the rest of the sailplane. I'm going to try to dive in further and see how we remove this bracket, because that's probably going to be the main pain here, because I can't really get to it because of the roller shutter. I don't really want to remove the roller shutter, and you can't leave it like that because it's quite ugly, and if I was to put a cover plate there, this does interfere with that cover plate. So without cutting it back with a grinder, that's the other option. If you can't get it to here, you could cut that back with a grinder if you very well protect this area and all here of grinder sparks. You could cut that with a grinder and then put the cover plate, make a cover plate that goes over, but it would be much nicer and neater if we can do that without cutting it. So we're going to give that a shot. If you're undecided on removing the sailplane, this gives you a pretty good idea of what it will look like. Definitely looks different. It almost makes it look like a BT50 or something. It's quite weird, and obviously you don't see it very often, but yeah, it's starting to grow on me more and more. So I'm going to go ahead and remove these brackets. I'm not going to cut them. I really want to not cut anything up, so everything is reversible on this car. So basically what I've been looking at is how to remove the whole roller shutter system. There's some bolts along here and here, and one here and one here, and I believe the whole thing kind of just lifts up and out. So I'm just going to try undo all that. I'm going to remove this seal from this little plug here and to screw in here, and this rail and this kind of comes together. So I'm just going to kind of like lift that up and back, hopefully get it out of the way, undo the bolts. I think there's 3 bolts under here, holding that on and holding that on, and then try to put the roller shutter back into position. And then basically from that point you can either decide to keep these and put a cover plate, or you can just swap it out with XL trims. So far it has been quite simple. I've just gone and done 3 T30 Torx bits along each rail, just underneath, up in here, you'll see them, and then 1 T30 Torx bit here. Remove the plastic clip here that holds the rubber seal, and then this clip here, the plate on the end, just pops off as well, and then that gives you this ability to move up and down essentially. And then spin around to the front. I've taken the 2 covers off each side, unplugged the roller shutter motor, and then up here 2 little dust caps and a T40 Torx to get these ones out. Now look at the amount of Loctite they've used. I did hear rumours that they use an insane amount of Loctite and it's tight. They weren't ridiculous, but I did need to get a proper ratchet on there to actually get undone, and they're tight the whole way winding out. They were never going to rattle loose, but don't know what Ford was thinking with that one. So now I believe, from my understanding, yeah, the whole roller shutter is just sitting there, and basically you should get 2 people to lift this, so one each side, and kind of lift and move it back, and that's how you remove the roller shutter. So if you're going to do a canopy setup and you want to get rid of the roller shutter, basically this is the final step. Remove the roller shutter out of the vehicle. We're just going to try and move it back, and I'm going to try to do it myself without damaging it, and then we should be able to get to the brackets we want to be able to remove. And I have made up my mind. I don't want to do the laser cut trim bracket over there. I feel like it'll be messy and just not look nice. So I'm going to remove these, and I'm going to pick up myself a set of trims to suit. As you can see, I've slid the roller shutter back, still resting on all the same brackets that it mounts on, but I have full access down here, and as you can see, I've got some 3 Torx bolts each side to remove these brackets. So should be no worries there. The only thing I can think of with these brackets, it kind of does look like they tie in this to there, so it's giving the tub a little bit of strength. I could be wrong, but we'll find out once I separate it. So upon further inspection and getting the first bracket off, just looking at how it mounts here, you've got the 2 bolts in here, 1 bolt in here. It actually adds a fair bit of rigidity to this. It doesn't move much, but it definitely will add some strength, and tying in these 2 corners in this front panel is probably not as thick and reinforced as the side panel, and it does tie it in. So what I'm going to do is cut back these brackets, and I would strongly recommend doing that. So I'm going to cut it just below this fold, so they're not sticking up in the way of either this trim or the new trim. And then I'm going to reinstall it just to give it, this is quite thick steel, it's about 4 or 5 mil thick, and yeah, it's going to, as you can see, it's got some formed bits in it to give it extra strength. It's definitely going to add some rigidity into the tub, so I'm not going to get rid of it. And I'm sure you can go and order this part from Ford if I were to put the sailplane back on, or there's probably hundreds of these already in wreckers that I could go grab the brackets off if I do want to install the sailplane again. But definitely going to do that because it's just probably more prone to cracking if I don't. And we'll come back tomorrow once I've cut it, and we'll reinstall the roller shutter and these brackets after I've cut them. And I've had a few casualties on the plastic clips. Try to get in there with some needle nose pliers up in there and push the clips, but still didn't have any luck. I'm not planning on reverting back. Never did. I would probably just buy a whole sailplane kit. For now, I can finish cutting my brackets, bolt them on here, then I can remount the shutter. Right, so round to the other side. Just going to quickly show you this because I know a lot of people are interested. There is 8 clips, as I said before, and 2 bolts, the little nuts underneath for those studs that are inside this. You undo those 2 30mm nuts, and the rest can actually pull up. Now, the instructions say that you should be able to just come here and grab this, but what I found is the studs actually just pull out of the bottom piece. So you can attempt that if you wish. Exactly what happened on the other side. So this is the siliconed in, and there's a little clip that holds it. That just pops out. Now, it does say in the instructions that you should be able to just pull up like that. I don't believe that it will work that easily. So I've got a wide trim removal tool and a kind of a moderately heavy duty trim removal tool. Basically the clips are one in the end, and then they alternate like this, basically, and there's 8 of them. So all I was doing was finding the spot where I know there's a clip, for example, in the end, and sliding the trim removal tool underneath. Now be careful with your paint. If you really want to, you should probably wrap this in tape. I'm not too fussed, but just be careful. Slide that under there. The clip broke immediately. I have gone underneath and tried to release the clips. They don't really want to release, they just keep wanting to go back. So I am just accepting the fact that the clips are probably going to break, and I would need to put new clips in if I was to refit this. But like this, you hear it, That one's done. So work your way along, and just one clip in each side. Try not to scratch the paint too much. Hey, I got one clip that didn't break. How's that? Oh no, it broke one side. We successfully broke all the clips on this side. Look, honestly, I'm sure you could probably get them off without breaking them, but I don't know how you meant to get to some of them and squeeze that in there, so I tried, but we did break one side of every clip. I just want to see if I can pull these out of the... No. So these are molded in there. Yeah, that's molded in there. So there you go. Take note, these are molded in there, so if you want to remove these and you want to put them back on, make sure you do spend as much effort as possible to try to not bust these out. Luckily, these are not going back on, and I'll buy new ones if I need to put them back on. Alright, so we'll just turn the grinder on. I'm going to cut this bracket. Grinder's on. Don't worry about that. That's not bad. Not bad at all, mate. Good enough. Built Ford tough. Basically, that's what we're gonna do. Got to do the other side, but you're just taking the bit that mounts the sailplane off. Again, genuine Ford part. You can just order these from Ford if you need. Alright, so here's our bracket cut back. Drops in there, and it picks up 3 bolt holes, so roughly about there. And see, that's pretty good. So now I'm just going to hit this with a bit of black paint so it doesn't rust, and just like that, put the roller shut up back into position, and I've put the 3 bolts. I've just sat them in there finger tight on each rail, both sides, and got to put this one in here on both sides. But unfortunately, my kind of luck, I've lost the bit into the depths of the unknown, and I believe it fell into a hole into the tub, which is going to be really annoying if it rattles. Rails are off, sailplane's off, and the roller shutter is back in. A few covers, a few bolts, and I'm just going to go try to source these from my local Ford tomorrow. Apparently they've got a heap of tubs out the back. Thanks to my mate Brody for letting me know that. I'll go chat to them, and hopefully I can score some free trims and get them off without breaking them. Alright, I'm back. It's another day. I've got another Torx bit. I'm going to go ahead and finish off tightening all these screws up properly so the roller shutter is installed. Then I'm going to plug the roller shutter back in and put the covers on. And then down here I have 2 sports trims. Now the sports with the hoop, unfortunately that's all I was able to get, although these were free so I can't really complain, and they were 2 minutes down the road. So I grabbed them for now, they'll be fine. I've also potentially have a pair of ones without the sports cut out in it available to me this weekend. Again, these are all free. People pull them off, put canopies and stuff on, and then they either have them sitting around or they chuck them. Obviously, didn't have all the caps in there. The guy had like the sports bar covering that one, and the other 2, he wasn't sure where they went. So I went down to my local Ford dealer, and I was able to grab 6 of these for free. They had a bunch of tubs out the back from when they're fitted trays and damaged tubs or whatever it is. They had a bunch out there, and they literally just grabbed a screwdriver and popped these off in 5 minutes and said I could have them. So if you need these or you need trims, definitely head down and see your local Ford dealer. If they're nice enough, they may even just give you these. I could probably go back and get the ones of these that were on the ute, which don't have the sports cutouts. But for now, I'm going to run these. Then I might hassle them later at my next service. what we'll do now is, once I've tightened all that up, I'm going to go line this up on top of the rail, because these are the sports trims. As you can see, they have a full back section that are bolts in here and here on the back side, but we obviously have the roller shutter, so we have brackets for the roller shutter all the way along. So we just need to cut around on the plastic so that it slides down between there, and there's this one as well, and then our bracket at the end. I'll make sure it clears there. But we'll do that. That'll take about 15 minutes, and then we'll be able to install them, and basically we'll be done removing the sailplane altogether. Keen to see how it looks? That's pretty good. Straightforward, just taps on. Same deal with the right. Plug that. Make sure you remember to plug the motor back in. I've already done that. So the one thing that you really got to check that works, and I know there's ways to recalibrate it and stuff, I realigned the roller shutter. So basically when you do it up, there is a little bit of like movement. There's some slots in the holes at the top, and maybe some of the holes down here. There is a little bit of movement. So I try to line up where the old marks were from the old bolt, like from the, well, the same bolts, but where it was when I pulled it out. We're about to find out if that worked, because we're going to try to close the roller shutter for the first time. So double click the button. Yeah, interesting. By the looks of that, the roller shutter does need really calibrating because I unplugged it. Now I'm going to Google it because I can't remember it. I've done it before. I will tell you the procedure so you don't have to Google it yourself. All right, so quick Google. It is absolutely everywhere on the internet, YouTube, whatever. Straightforward, pretty simple. Don't know how I forgot it, to be honest. But come to either load box, is what they call it, tub, whatever. You can use this button, or you can use the button in the cabin. But basically what you need to do is hold this until it's halfway. So hold it, the shutter will open unrestricted to halfway. Stop it about halfway, roughly halfway. I don't know if that's exactly halfway. And then go again. It's gonna go all the way to the open position and hold it for 6 seconds. As you've seen then, it actually opened pretty harshly. So the soft function, the soft open and close function no longer works when it's in this position. Then once you've done that, bring it out to the all the way open position. Again, it will be like a hard close, sorry. Hold it for 3 to 6 seconds roughly, and then let go. Now, when you press the button, it should open all the way automatically, and you should see it should do a bit of a slow open. So like when it gets to the end, it will slow down a little bit. Yep, see, slows down and then opens. That's how you know that it's working, and your FELB will now work. Double click that, the roller shutter shuts, and you see when it comes up here, it will do the slow close instead of just jamming closed. Perfect. That's how you know your roller shutter is recalibrated. So I'm going to clean up some of these tools in a sec, but next up we have to cut these. Now I'm just going to use some tin snips or side cutters, and I'm going to mark with the texture roughly where they are, and it only has to be a little bit rough. It only needs to be roughly, you know, within a couple mil either side. Obviously the better you can get it, the better it will seal in there, but you have this seal here that should stop stuff from actually getting down in there anyway. All right, got these sitting up here, ready to mark up. Got my cutters, which you would have seen me use these when we did the flare install. Essentially, I'm gonna hold it up like this, which I can't really do because I've only got 2 hands. And I'm just gonna mark, so as you can see, the texture, I need to mark there, there. I'm just gonna mark either side of the bracket, and there, either side of the bracket. And then I'm going to take it off and cut it. So I've done my little trim cutouts. They're pretty rough, but do the job. Now perfect. You just got to slide it down nicely between the seal. So the seal, as far as I'm aware, needs to stay on this side. You don't want to get it caught up in this. Push that down in between the seal. Line up all the holes. Like that. Make sure your cut bits are pushed in so you don't get caught along the seal, because that will seal the tub. Like it can keep the water out. Go along, line them all up. I'm gonna bang it in. And you can just buy these brand new from Ford. So if you want the brand new ones, you can. I think they're about 135 bucks. Depending on your dealer. These down the front, so put that in first, and then got this end, bend like that with your finger, and that's it. Alright, it's on, and I just wanted to show you here, along here, is a spot for the little clips. If you're taking any panels off, flares off, all that kind of stuff. You know those little pot rivet like little plastic clips? There's them holes for them the whole way along. So you want to secure it down further, just put them in there. For now, I'm probably not going to do that. They're on there pretty tight, just with the clips up across the top. But once I get better ones, maybe down the track without the L shape in the end, I will chuck the clips in there, because it'll keep it neat and just hold it down a little bit better.
Stay a moment. All my walls are falling, and my heart is beating loud until I hit the ground.
And there it is, a nice sleek look. We are now done with the sailplane delete. I'm not completely sold on it, but let me know down in the comments what you think, whether you prefer this or you prefer the sailplane. But obviously we are taking this off so that we can install the rooftop tent and the roof rack. As you see on the screen, I've started designing the tub rack, and I'm gonna leave all that for the next video, which will be up in a couple of weeks. If you're wanting to do a free mod on your new wild track, or you just wanna make room for a rooftop tent or a tub rack so you can carry all your gear, then this is it. Now it's time for the custom stuff, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time.